Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri is by far the best theme park that I have visited. I have been here 3 times, once when I was a toddler, once in 2017, and most recently in 2019. Interestingly enough, every one of these visits has been with family, and I have loved all of them. At least, I think I loved it when I was 3. Today, I will be talking about my thoughts and experiences with Silver Dollar City and why I believe that it could be the best park in America. Let's begin with the very little bit that I remember from my toddler years. I only have 3 vivid memories, but the rest is a blur. The first is that there were a whole lot of signs that we drove under to get there, and they were blue, and that's that. I remember seeing some kind of swing ride, but my most notable memory is riding my second ever coaster, the Grand Exposition Coaster. And oh boy, I hated it! All I remember is that it was very jerky and I was in pain the whole time. I have the credit, and I probably won't ride it ever again. Next is my 2017 visit. I was super excited going into this trip, as I knew I would be riding my first RMC, which I had heard amazing things about. I don't remember anything super well about this trip, but let's go over what I do. Quick disclaimer, I was only a half enthusiast at the time, and I hadn't ridden much. I believe I only had around 20 credits. Anyway, we started on Thunderation as a warm-up. I loved it and was very surprised with how intense the mid-ride helix was. That would be far from my last ride, but we had to progress. My next obstacle was Powder Keg. When we checked the app, it was broken down, but by the time we got to the queue, it was back up. I was literally crying as I got onto the ride, as it was my first launch coaster, and I had no idea what to expect. After getting off though, I loved it. Having had 2 warm-up rides, it was time to get extreme, so we headed over to Wildfire. This is a B&M sit-down coaster, and to be honest, I was kinda underwhelmed with it. It was fun, but it was just lacking something that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I still liked it, but I didn't feel the need to ride it again that day. So with all of that done, it was time for the next step up. Wait, you thought I was going to ride Outlaw Run? Nah man, Thunderation Marathon is where it's at. 8 rides later, I finally decided to go do Outlaw Run. Until I got distracted by the children's play area, and technically family but actually really intense drop tower. But now the time had come to ride Lost River of the Ozarks, which is, or was anyway, a fun rapids ride that left me a little bit wet. Enough stalling though, Outlaw Run. This was by far my most anticipated coaster of the day, and as such, I was practically hyperventilating as I sat down in a middle row. We pulled out of the station and hit the lift hill, and one of the things I remember most is frantically saying to my dad, I'm on an RMC, ah!" and then finished the lift hill by reciting stats. We don't talk about these days of my enthusiast life. Anyway, Outlaw Run was great, but I honestly don't remember that first ride at all. I got off and claimed it was my overall number 1, but deep down I actually preferred Powder Keg, which I would take one more ride on to end my day. The final ride count for this visit was 9 on Thunderation, 2 on Powder Keg, 1 on Wildfire, 1 on the Drop Tower, 1 on Lost River of the Ozarks, 1 on Outlaw Run, and 1 on anything else that we did that I forget. I walked out very happy, but not overwhelmed with how good it was. I put it about on par with my home park, Six Flags St. Louis. However, I went back this past year, and oh boy did that opinion change. I won't go over my whole day like I just did, but for the basics, I loved it so much. Time Traveler is an amazing new addition to the park in my top 10, Outlaw Run truly took its place as my number 1, Thunderation was way joltier than it used to be, Powder Keg was sadly closed all day, and overall the park was 10 times better than I remembered. This visit solidified its spot as the best park I have visited, and even without going to some of the biggest parks in America, I would argue that it has an incredibly strong chance of being the best. Why? Let's look at the pros and cons. Or just pros, because literally nothing is wrong with Silver Dollar City. Pro number 1. The park is gorgeous along with the midways and paths, and every bit is well landscaped. I love taking pictures and videos of coasters at parks, but generally nothing else. Silver Dollar City was different. The landscaping is so nice that some of my best pictures from the day had no coaster in sight. Even a shot where I simply held my phone straight up and took a picture turned out beautifully. This place is so photogenic, and you can tell they put so much work into the looks. I went into a few shops while at the park, and even those had a very charming and old-timey feel to them. Pro number 2, the coaster lineup. Even though there are only 7 different roller coasters, they are all so unique, and not a single one is truly bad unless you count the Grand Exposition coaster. Time Traveler being put in has helped this factor even more, giving the park 2 standout coasters. Aside from these though, the others are still very good. Pro number 3, the ride theming. While it may not be to a Disney extent, there is still some light but nice theming on the coasters and other rides. I personally love rides that don't overdo it on theming, but rather have just enough, and every coaster at Silver Dollar City satisfies this. Time Traveler in particular has a perfect amount of theming, with each floor of the station building hitting a new level. Also, can we take a quick second to talk about Time Traveler's soundtrack? It is so beautifully done, with instrumental, more classical versions of some songs. It is very similar to the idea that Blue Ridge Junction goes for. It gives me such a nice feeling every time I listen to it, and it adds so much to the ride. Pro number 4, the atmosphere. This is the area where Silver Dollar City absolutely shines above every other park that I have been to. Just walking around the midways gives you such a nostalgic feeling, even if you have no reason to have such a feeling. It's hard for me to put into words what it feels like. You really have to experience it for yourself to understand. The 5th and final pro that I can really explain is the terrain of Silver Dollar City. Yet another wonderful thing about visiting this park. While your thighs will be burning from the terrain, it makes it feel much more natural, and it adds so much to the coasters. For example, the highest point of the wave turn on Outlaw Run is at about the same level as the bottom of the station. Every coaster uses the land to its advantage, and it really makes everything feel so much better. For all of these outstanding factors, I personally believe that Silver Dollar City has a very strong chance of being the best amusement park in the nation, and possibly even the world. That's it for this video, but before I go, I would like to announce a new goal. I am currently trying to hit 500 subscribers before July comes. This is a pretty ambitious goal based on my average growth, so I'm going to need everyone's help to hit it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and sharing it with your friends to make this goal possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.